HowExpert presents The Life of Benjamin Franklin, a timeline. Benjamin Franklin is a prominent figure in American history. He was a polymath who excelled in many fields including science, politics, and writing. He's best recognized for his innovations to the invention, although he made other significant contributions to diplomacy, imperialism, and civil society. Early life in American colonial days. On January 17, 1706, Benjamin Franklin was born in Boston, Massachusetts, and was the 10th son of 17 children. His father wanted Benjamin to become a minister, but could not afford to send him to college. So, at the age of 10, Franklin was sent to work at his brother's print shop. Franklin learned to read and write at the print shop and became a good printer. In 1721, he started writing articles for the New England Courant, a newspaper his brother published. Franklin wrote under the name Silence of the Good, a middle-aged widow. In 1723, Franklin ran away from home to Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, and found work as a printer there. A year later, he started his own printing business, and Franklin became the official printer of Pennsylvania. Franklin's early life was not easy. He had little formal education and no money, but he was intelligent and hardworking, which helped him become successful in business and later in life. Personal life. Seems like an ordinary man. Franklin became a Freemason in 1731. In 1736, Franklin married Deborah Reed. They had 2 children together, Sarah and Francis. Deborah died in 1774. Franklin had a son, William, out of wedlock with an unknown woman. William goes to live with his mother in England and later becomes the royal governor of New Jersey. The two have had little contact with each other over the years. Franklin also has a close relationship with his sister, Jane Meekum. They correspond often, and she provides him with news about their mutual relatives. He later joined the Royal Society in London in 1756. Ben Franklin toys with medical findings. Franklin's advocacy of inoculation grew after the loss of his son to smallpox, and he had planned on using it as a preventative measure. Still unable because Francis Fogler Franklin fell ill with another illness before being vaccinated, something we know can happen if you're not immunized against certain diseases like chickenpox or flu shots in general. Franklin's medical creations were uncomplicated and immediately useful, like the flexible catheter he designed for his brother John, who suffered from a bladder stone. This device was a coiled silver wire with joints that allowed its flexibility. It also had a protective layer wrapped around its exterior so that not to cause irritation when passing through an organ or a vessel to aid inflammation relief without injury. Printing career takes off. Franklin soon became interested in the printing business and learned the trade. In 1731, Franklin started publishing the Pennsylvania Gazette, a successful newspaper and his first publication. The Gazette was very successful, and Franklin soon became one of America's most famous printers. In 1751, Franklin published Poor Richard's Almanac, a collection of sayings and proverbs. Franklin's inventions led by his curiosity. In addition to being a successful printer, Franklin was also an inventor. In 1752, Franklin conducted his famous kite experiment, proving that lightning is electricity. Ben is known for his inventions of the lightning rod. He also invented a stove that he called the Franklin stove. This stove was more efficient than other stoves of its time and helped heat homes more evenly. Franklin also invented bifocals, a type of eyeglass that corrects both nearsightedness and farsightedness. Franklin adopts a diplomatic career. In 1732, Franklin formed a club called the Junto, which met weekly to discuss politics, philosophy, and science. In 1743, Franklin helped form the American Philosophical Society. In 1757, Franklin was sent to England as a Pennsylvania colonial diplomat. He stayed in England for 5 years, during which time he worked hard to resolve tensions between the colonies and the mother country. He also wrote several important essays during this period, including a plan for improving the English language and an address to the public on the present state of affairs in America. In 1762, Franklin returned to America and took up residence in Philadelphia. He began to quarrel, became involved in a dispute with the Pennsylvania Assembly over taxes, and clashed with the governor over the issue of colonial control. These disagreements led Franklin to spend considerable time outside of Pennsylvania, living in other colonies such as New Jersey and Georgia. The American Revolution, patriot, statesman, and international diplomat. The American Revolution had already begun when Franklin returned to America in 1775. Franklin became a member of the Second Continental Congress and helped to draft the Declaration of Independence. He also served as a diplomat during the war and helped to negotiate the peace treaty that ended it. Political life begins with the Constitutional Convention. After the war, Franklin played an important role in drafting the United States Constitution. He was one of only 3 Pennsylvania delegates who signed the Constitution and the Declaration of Independence. From 1757 to 1775, during the years leading up to the American Revolution, Franklin strongly advocated for colonial unity and independence. After the war, from 1776 to 1785, Franklin served as the U.S. Minister to France. He was instrumental in negotiating the Treaty of Paris, which ended the war and recognized the United States as an independent nation. After the war, Franklin served as a delegate to the Constitutional Convention and promoted the adoption of the Constitution. In 1787, he published important work on a political theory called An Address to the Public. Franklin became increasingly interested in science and philosophy. He published several important works on these subjects, including experiments and observations on electricity and the moral perfectionist. He continued to write and publish on various topics, including science, politics, and morality. He founded several institutions, including the University of Pennsylvania and the American Philosophical Society. Franklin continued to play an active role in public life, serving as a member of the Constitutional Convention in 1787 and as a delegate to the Pennsylvania Ratifying Convention in 1788. Franklin lived a fruitful and eventful life. Franklin's health began to decline, and he died on April 17, 1790. He was buried in Philadelphia's Christ Church Cemetery. HowExpert publishes how-to guides by everyday experts. Visit HowExpert.com to learn more.